Well, hey there, everybody. I hope that you are all still doing very well. And for what I would like to talk about in this video and the next few videos, I would like to talk about a couple of love stories and what we can learn from these love stories. And with the people who I am going to talk about, with these two couples, these four people, I know all of them personally, and I know them very well. And even though right now it is not the month of February when I am recording this, let's be real. During every month of the year, so many people in the world are thinking about who they like in a romantic way, and so many people are thinking about dating and choosing someone to marry. And when we think about all of the decisions that people make in this world, in this life, the two most important decisions that we can make are accepting the Lord and who we choose to marry. And of course, we want to accept the Lord so we can go to heaven, and then we can inspire other people to accept the Lord and go to heaven. And then with dating and choosing someone to marry, it is so important that we are choosing wisely and we are really being careful with dating and choosing someone to marry so we can avoid any bad relationship, and instead we can choose good quality, healthy relationships. So I will get into all of this in the few videos that I would like to record here. And for this video, one love story that I would like to talk about is the love story of my cousin John and the lady that he married, Natalie. And with my cousin John, he was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. And John and I have a few things in common. John was born in the same year as me, in 1992. And John was born and raised in the same state as me. And John has always been a very well-behaved person. And so, over the first 19 years of John's life, he made it through all of grade school with no problem. And then, after graduating high school, John went to college. And it was in John's time in college in 2013, 2014. That's when John met Natalie. And John's fraternity knew some people in Natalie's sorority. So John and Natalie met that way. And for a few years, John and Natalie were not in an official dating boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, but still, for a few years, John and Natalie knew of each other and they got to know each other. And then, in 2018, something clicked, and it was in 2018 when John and Natalie officially started a dating boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. And then, in April of 2019, just like I had done a few times before, I had arranged it with John where I would drive to Columbus for one evening and John and I would go bowling. And this time, when it came to going to bowl somewhere, John had told me, "Oh, yeah, this time I would like to invite somebody. I would like to invite my girlfriend, Natalie, and I would like you to meet her." And so it was in April of 2019. I got to meet my cousin John's girlfriend, Natalie, and I could see it that the both of them are kind and honest and self-controlled with each other. And so, yeah, I could see it, and I remember feeling very happy that my cousin John has an official dating boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. And so I got to meet Natalie in April of 2019, and then the day after bowling, I went back to Cincinnati, Ohio for a few weeks, and I geared up once again for another summer of working at Lakeside Chautauqua at the gates. And then, as time goes by, we make it to late August, early September of 2019, and on Labor Day weekend of 2019, I get a phone call from my cousin John, and I was not able to pick up the phone at first, so John left a voicemail that said, "Hey there, call me back as soon as you can. I've got some big news that I want to tell you. Call me back as soon as you can. I've got some big news I want to tell you." And when I heard John say, "I've got some big news I want to tell you," I was thinking to myself, either John is moving or he is now engaged to Natalie. And sure enough, when I called John back, I learned that John had gotten engaged to Natalie. And I also learned that I was invited to be a part of someone's wedding party. For the first time in my whole life, I was invited to be a part of someone's wedding party. So let the wedding planning begin. Let the wedding planning begin. And as time goes by, in the fall of 2019, I continue to work, and I am waiting for the details about John and Natalie's wedding, when it will take place, and I am waiting for arranging a day when I can go to Columbus and get measured for my groomsman suit. And it was arranged where I would drive to Columbus on Friday, March 6th, 2020. And in the evening, on March 6th, 2020, I was measured for my groomsman suit, and there were no problems there. And then after getting measured, me and John and Natalie and Colin and Michelle, other people that John and Natalie knew, all of us go out to bowl, and that was a really fun and joyful evening there. And then on the following day, March 7th, I drive back to Cincinnati, and, well, I was expecting the wedding to take place in May of 2020, but what happens shortly after March 6th, March 7th in 2020? shortly after that weekend, COVID happened. COVID happened. And I remember where I was on the day that I really consider to be the big turning point where society would be shut down for a few months. On Sunday, March 15th, 2020, I was at a pizza restaurant, Dewey's Pizza in Cincinnati, Ohio. And after the waitress had brought out my soda, the waitress comes back out and informs me that I would have to take my pizza home because with COVID going on, the restaurants would have to be shut down for indoor dining. And sure enough, because of COVID going on and with society shutting down for a few months, my cousin John, and with who he is engaged to Natalie, with their wedding would have to be rescheduled. And all of us understood that. All of us understood that, no problem. And originally, John and Natalie's wedding was supposed to take place in May of 2020, about 20 miles southwest of Columbus. But then after rescheduling, John and Natalie's wedding would now take place in September of 2020 in Mount Vernon, Ohio, which is an hour northeast of Columbus. And so all of us who were invited to the wedding, and for all of us who were invited to be a part of the wedding party, all of us waited it out, and finally in September of 2020, John and Natalie had their wedding, and we had a pretty good crowd that showed up. I would say about 150 to 200 people in attendance, and it was a very nice and fun and joyful time, that wedding. And I even remember hearing from, I think John's mom heard from Natalie's dad. Natalie's dad had apparently said, I really needed this. I really needed this event. I really needed this joyful event after the last 6 months with COVID going on. I really needed this joyful event. And I think so many of us in attendance were feeling the same way. And yeah, John and Natalie's wedding went very, very well. It was an outdoor wedding, and we had perfect, beautiful weather in the 70s, clear blue sky, and the sun was out, no rain. And then as the sun goes down into the evening and into the moonlight, the music was playing, and everything turned out very well. And I am so happy when I think about my cousin John and the lady that he married, Natalie. I am so glad that with those two, they got to know each other for at least a few years. They got to know each other for at least 5 years before they got married. And I could also see it that John and Natalie are kind and honest and self-controlled with each other, and they honored the boundaries when they were dating and when they were engaged. And also, John and Natalie know how to manage money. Of course, there is spending money because in order to survive in this world, we have to pay the bills. But then when it comes to what is optional and things that are unnecessary and we do not need to purchase them, I can see it that John and Natalie know how to manage money well. They spend their money on paying bills, and that is necessary. It is necessary to spend money so, bills can be paid. But I can also see it how John and Natalie do not blow their money on expensive, unnecessary things. And so, yeah, John and Natalie know how to manage money well. And also, John and Natalie are both Christians, and I am very happy to report, as we are getting closer to September of 2026, that my cousin John and his wife Natalie are still married 6 years later. And I hope that John and Natalie can both survive in this world for a very, very long time, and they can be always married to each other till death do us part. And yes, I am very happy for my cousin John and his wife Natalie, and things have worked out very well for them. As of right now, when I record this video in the summer of 2026, I know that John and Natalie do not have any children, but maybe over time that will happen. But yeah, I just wanted to mention, some really important things that we can learn from John and Natalie's story. And I wanted to share the entire story of how John and Natalie met each other, and how John and Natalie got to know each other for at least 5 years. And it is important to remember some really, really big things when it comes to choosing someone that we would like to date and marry someday. It's very important to know someone for at least a few years. And it is very important to be kind and honest and self-controlled and honor boundaries and be loyal. And it is very important to manage money in a smart way. And as a Christian, it is very important to marry a Christian. And for John and Natalie, I think we can definitely remember all of that when we reflect on their story. And so I hope that you have enjoyed hearing all of this. And that is about one love story, the love story about my cousin John and his wife Natalie. And now, let us get into talking about another love story, where I get to talk about two other people who I have gotten to know very well.